Alright everyone, I promised a video on how I wind my chainmail rings, so here it is. My basic setup is I have two pieces of 2x4 that are clamped to my workbench with 3/4 inch pipe clamps. Use a pair of 8-inch bolt cutters, a glove, wire, drill, and basically any size mandrel I want to use. I have quite a few different sizes here: 3/4, 5/16, 3/8, 9/64, and then what I'm going to be working with is 1/4 inch. So basically what I have here is I have the mandrel, the steel rod, mounted in my drill, fed through a hole in one side that feeds across to the other side and then goes into a hole on the other side. And the way I have it set up, I've got the pipe clamp right against the back of the wood, so my mandrel only goes so far. It won't feed all the way through. That's kind of a stop point for it. What I do is I drilled a hole in the mandrel, as you can see here. Goes all the way through, and that's where you're going to feed the end of your wire in, and your coil is going to wind down in this direction to the right. So what I'll do now is I'll put this in the mount, and then I'll show you how I set everything up. So the drill is mounted there, and I'll run that with my right hand, or sorry, my left hand, and then I'll feed the wire by hand with my right, wearing a glove. So I basically just take the wire, I have a whole spool here, it's about 100 feet, 14 gauge galvanized, basically electric fence wire. And I'll just take this and set this down on the floor in front of my workbench, pull the wire up, feed it into the hole, and then wind it from there. And it, just hanging on the floor like that, it pretty much stays consistent. It unwinds itself. It won't. It normally won't twist up, depending on the manufacturer of the wire. I've had some that's pretty springy. This stuff's pretty stable. I can let it go and it'll just coil up. Others I've had, if I let go of it, it's basically like a big spring. So I'm going to go ahead and start winding this. So I feed this end of the wire into the hole that I've drilled in the mandrel. I only have it sticking through maybe 1/8 of an inch on the other side. Doesn't have to be much. Just enough to where it'll hold the wire in there as you start winding it. Once it gets wound once or twice, it's pretty stable. It's not going to come out. So I use a glove and basically just hold my wire, keep it stable, and then I will move with it as it winds up onto the mandrel. I move my hand down with it. And once I get the first 1 or 2 times around, this allows me to keep tension on the wire as I'm winding it. So I'll go ahead and stop here for a second. I'll show you what this is doing. So I create a loop at the beginning where the wire feeds in, and then it winds onto the mandrel as I run the drill. sometimes I'll get a kink in the line. I've got to straighten it out. As long as you keep tension on the wire, it won't try to unwind on you. And I wanted just about maybe a ½ an inch to the end. Like that. I do get some spots depending on how smooth the wire is. Gloves are leather, so they've got some grip to them. Sometimes they'll catch on the wire as I'm feeding it. A couple spots here and there. For the most part, though, I'm usually pretty consistent. Most times I'll use a cloth, like a garden glove. So then all I have to do when I get down to there is you want to step back, because this does have tension on the coil here on the mandrel, so it will unwind very fast. Definitely don't want to get your hand in the way of that. So then it just clips off one end, and then down at the other end where the drill is, you see this loop on I leave some sticking up. That way I can just get in there with the bolt cutters and clip that off too. Then I get that little piece that comes out, a little scrap piece right there, and then it basically will just unwind, feed right off as I pull the mandrel out. The coil will feed off where I get a nice coil. And then I can just clip the ends real close. My next set of rings I'm cutting. I'll go ahead and do another one. Get my other glove. A little bit easier to use. A little beat up, but definitely a lot smoother. So same deal. Get my wire fed first into the hole in the mandrel. Leave a little bit of a loop, start winding, and once I get it fed on there pretty well, as long as I keep a little bit of tension, it don't have to be a lot, but just to keep tension so it stays nice and tight on the mandrel, they can run off definitely a lot faster. To the end there. Definitely want to keep tension on it, because it will, even with the weight of the drill on the other end, it will try to unwind. Cut off one end, cut off the close end, and then just pull it out, feed your coil off. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to just go ahead and ask.